for growth, so that we're not waiting from August to December and then again until April or May. That's too much time in between. So that roadmap is going to provide exactly what it is, a map to their success. So all learners deserve full attention. And the next one, we flood the classroom. Again, a lot of us have a lot of those same ideas, and I truly subscribe to this. We don't start our specials classes until 11 o'clock. And that's because every staff that does not have a classroom of their own needs to be supporting the teachers that do. In particular in reading instruction, in becoming stronger readers, more fluent readers. And so every teacher has already been assigned to a classroom through the master schedule that's been created. And they're there strategically to help those teachers. And they're not just there to be wallflowers. They're not just there to be cover the class so a teacher can run to the restroom. They are there with a purpose. They will have a small group of their own. Through the guided practice and through the independent practice of the rotations, they will have their own group. And so a tremendous model that we had last year was our second grade teacher who really used the instructional aid so very well. That instructional aid, as the students were rotating, they had their teacher group, they had their independent reading group, they had their iRead center, and then they came to her and they were able to receive additional phonics instruction. This was an exemplar in our school, and one that I expect to implement here at West Park Academy. And so just modeling that and making sure that those teachers know they have a direct purpose. They're not just being put there to be inconvenienced or to delay the start of their day. No, their day starts there with a purpose. And so you've heard me talk about the small learning groups within the instructional framework. I too subscribe to the gradual release with the I do, we do, you do. And so I expect that is seen in both reading, ELA instruction, and math. That students are getting the information from the teachers, that they're wrestling with the questions, that they are being able to interact with the teachers and being able to, be able to get the support that they need as they are eventually released into independently practicing on their own. Of course, we have a rigorous RTI program to help determine those students that may need additional support to help them become successful, to reach that map, the growth map, roadmap that I was speaking of. And of course, this all occurs within a culture of error, where the learning takes place and the teachers continually check for understanding in a fail-fast environment. It's important that we know that we don't just fail fast, but we recover fast as well. We recover quickly. So our academics, our times, our students will receive 90 to 120 minutes of ELA a day, 90 minutes of math, 60 minutes of science or social studies, a 45-minute special block, 35-minute, actually it's a 25-minute lunch, and homework is going to vary based on their grade level, as far as number of minutes they can expect every minute. And so this is critical. The big chunk being in our ELA. We really need to grow our readers and really help them to be successful so that they can implement what they're learning there in all areas. Because if they can't read, they're not going to be successful in the others. So reaching the mission through climate and culture. This really struck me at one of our sessions. I wrote it down, and it's been something in the forefront of my mind ever since. We must embrace the fact that transformation happens through struggle, reflection, problem solving, and leading by every single person at West Park Academy. I think that right there, that truly epitomizes the pillars that I believe in. Struggle, reflection, problem solving. This has to come together. The staff needs to come together with the students in order to reach this. And again, this also relates back to that culture of error, so that they can learn through the struggle of what they're experiencing. Additionally, how does this all happen? It starts there. It starts with relationships. Critical to anything that we do. We have to build the trust. We have to build and earn the buy-in. And we can't expect them to walk through walls if we don't have that relationship. We do that through celebrating the core values every single day through pillar praises, where students will be recognized for that. There will be a visual space for those to take place, and so those are celebrated continuously. Every person plays a specific role. Teachers, students, and parents. Nobody is left out. Nobody is excluded. Everybody has a specific purpose. And one of the things that we adopted at Pearl 2 years ago that was really successful was a family system where every student has someone to go to, and every teacher has a family of their own. And it cannot be and it will not be students within their homeroom class. This is a group of students that they're able to impact, that it's a safe place for them, that is not their own classroom teacher. And of course, again, parents and families are critical partners and do play a critical role. So specifically for parents, my message to them has been attendance is paramount. I specifically talked about minutes and how minutes lost every day is the minutes that aren't going to get back. I gave a brief description of what just 15 minutes late every day does and how that translates into an hour and 15 minutes every week, how it translates into 5 hours a month and 45 hours of lost instruction over a year, just by thinking of 15 minutes late or picking them up 15 minutes early. We can't close achievement gaps if the child is absent or signed out. And their feedback is critical. I told them that they're going to be able to look for surveys during the year, whether they're waiting in the parking lot, ones that we sent home in backpacks, or information that they can give us as we invite them in for specific events throughout the year. And of course, the door is always open. They always know where they can reach me, and I think that my time at my previous schools, the parents really, they quickly learned that was not something that was just said to be said, that truly was the case. And so that's the conclusion.
Questions?
Comment. I like those banners as you got the four pillars. I like that. I think that's cute. So when the students walk in, even the staff, they know exactly what to expect from you.
Right.
What you value.
Like many of our schools, there's been a lot of turnover. The staff is looking for somebody to come in and make a claim for what we believe in and give it a sense of direction. Now, some of the things that we are going to be doing over those 10 days is a lot of community building, a lot of collaboration. One of the things in particular is PBIS, and so that's something that I'm intentionally allowing our staff to develop in this time for that buy-in piece, so that first core pillar of community is built within. But there are certain things that need to, the staff just is looking for a leader to come in and say, look, this is how it is. And so establishing those four pillars was critical, and being able to name them and show it to the community of what they are was the reason why I wanted to have those up on the building.
Can you explain what the term failing fast means?
So, like, in a sense of check for understanding, the way I understand failing fast is that we're not waiting until it's too late. That we catch it quickly and we recover quickly within that culture there. And so we fail fast by recognizing where there's an issue, correcting it, and moving forward. So it's not waiting until the end. It's throughout, so that we can keep recovering and moving forward.
How are you planning on checking that, making sure that
Sure. Well, so my key lever academically is check for understanding, and so my lesson plan that was developed indicates what are key questions you're going to be asking, when are you going to be asking them, and how, what's the strategy you're going to be using. So I will be able to provide feedback just, on paper, and then within the weekly coaching, the weekly observations, there's that quick reference, quick way of checking for them. So they can fail fast too.
Mike, what is your RTI process? Tell me exactly what it looks like.
Sure. So my RTI process, it begins with, triangulation of data. And so, it doesn't come from just one source, it comes from multiple. And you have to have a clear line in the sand, to start. So once you have your data, you disaggregated your data, you know your clear line. So let's say because you can't put every student in there. If we did, our triangle would be inverted. And so you have to have that understanding of, okay, at West Park Academy, these are maybe the low 20% or the low 18%, whatever that may be. And so then you extrapolate that, and then you look, okay, who's already on an IEP, or who is an ESL student. And you start to break it down a little bit, so it's not as black and white. Who's already in the process? What tier are they at? And then you can begin to build your caseload of RTI students. Throughout the year, teachers have the opportunity to say, hey, look, I don't have black and white right now. Students just aren't catching on, or this particular student, so then we can evaluate that student as well. And it's all about finding the intervention that they need, preventing needless special education identification, giving them what they need so that they can move forward successfully, experience success, because our students just too often have experienced failure too much that they're disengaged, they don't try, they're frustrated. So we need to find ways to help them find that sense of success within an environment of support.
How long do you plan to progress monitor that intervention?
Depends. So progress monitoring at an academic level, the textbook says 6 weeks, but that can be 4 weeks. It depends. Behaviorally, 3 to 4 weeks. Again, that's the textbook definition of it. But you have to be intentional in how you're monitoring and tracking. For RTI, no data, no meeting, except in my office. You've got to be prepared, and so we equip our teachers with a progress monitoring tracking device, so that they know exactly what the goal is, they know exactly how they're going to do it, how they're going to measure it, and they're going to be able to articulate that, and they deliver that to the team before the meeting, so that it's things move.
I like that process.
Building off that, kind of the next step, you were kind of talking about making sure your ICI, making your special education is the same thing. Now, you've talked many times that we have what's called the outsourced resources of your intervention specialists. How do you plan to make sure that they are collaborating with the general ed teachers and anyone else entitled to make sure they're doing the best for their kids this year?
So let me take a step back into RTI. My team consists of course, myself as the lead school psychologist, the special education teachers, the title teachers, the classroom teacher, and the parent. And so anybody that has an expertise or specialty in intervention, whether they become, the driving player or not, they're involved. And so it also goes back to your grade level meetings or your teacher-based teams, whichever you want to call them. Those intervention specialists and title teachers are integral parts of those as well. And so there's a constant collaboration. And it's not just by chance or because you said it's going to be, you create it. You create that system for it. And so the systems I've created they're in the RTI, they're in the grade level meetings. That collaboration is regular.
Can you explain a little bit when we talk about intervention? So not talking about you with an IEP, just a student that needs additional supports in some academic area. Who on your campus do you envision doing that on like a regular, either scheduled out daily basis or weekly? Who are those people that you envision providing that intervention that actually work for you and not the third party?
Okay, so naturally, your Title I teachers are a great place to start with that. They're pushing in. They may pull out. In my master schedule, I have a placement for them specifically. I'm fortunate enough to have a reading and a math title teacher, and so throughout their week they know exactly where they're at. That also includes a non-specific classroom, but an RTI caseload block. So they know during this time of the day, I'm working on RTI rules that I've been assigned with this particular child, whether it's directly related to the current lesson or just like hey, we are catching them up, and so it naturally can start with them. With my flooding model of the ELA classroom, those individuals that aren't title teachers, aren't special education instructors, they too are involved in that, and so they understand how to help specific students or specific groups within that class close that gap and to catch them up so that they're moving out of the intensive and strategic groups into the benchmark groups or maybe even into the advanced groups, but really moving them along within the system of the program. Growling, tummies, yawns.
I have a quick question from everyone. Good time?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what you said, like the community to really buy into the PPIS. However, what if the staff members really go one day and we want to do it until they still.
Well, absolutely, and so that's.
What's their default if they can't come up with it?
So what the default would be the things that have been successful in the past that we've used, with the understanding that those are stopgaps to moving into something a little bit more staff-driven and collaborative in nature. Of course, we used our color sticks. I actually had that in my playbook. I'm going to confess, I'm not completely married to it, to the point where I feel like it's the end-all, be-all. I think that is a great tool to use when you need to make a quick shift, but eventually you need to move into some more intrinsic ways of changing the culture of student behavior. And so to answer your question as far as what's my default, that's my default. But that will, like I said, that will not be a permanent one. There will continue to be strategic questions and strategic, discussions about where do we take it next. And if they need to be handheld a little bit, that can happen. But it really stems from that first pillar of building that community of trust, so that they can work with me on.
Do you know last year what the percentage or number-wise of students that were receiving special services was at Westpark?
At Westpark, I don't. However, I just received the updated list yesterday from my English coordinator. There are 47 students enrolled right now that have an IEP out of 262. And an equal number of students that will be receiving ESL services. So Martin, you're going to have to teach me Spanish.
Well, I think, so leading on to that, so knowing that percentage for ESL is relatively high, how do you envision valuing that and making that a lever that's a very positive part of Westpark instead of a challenge or something that you feel like you're constantly trying to catch up on?
So Lisa's been really helpful in that, just in terms of messaging to families, but it doesn't stop there. It has to also be within the building. Fortunate to have 2 staff members right now that are fluent in speaking Spanish. Right now, that's the only alternative language. Not which is the alternative. That's the other language. Just English and Spanish. I don't have any others right now in the building. So that's a good thing to have. I know that Miss Corletto, when we do blast phone calls, I give the call, she gives the call. And so it's in Spanish. You know, I want to do more literature. I don't know how much literature was ever put out there in Spanish. That's gotta, you know, that's something that's gonna have to be made available, especially now as we're getting ready to send things out to families for the beginning of the year. So that's
Part-time work. Part-time. Alright, well, one piece of feedback, so I think for flooding the classroom, the person I love it, and you've all heard me say this many times throughout the year, maybe that's why you put it in now, but that's why we were able to do what we did at my old school, is this idea that our PE teacher had a reading group, did tutoring, our bus drivers would do phonics with kids, our lunch ladies would do sight words. So the feedback is that was a big mindset shift to get over big picture. So not only like, what are you talking about? I'm the lunch lady, why am I doing sight words? Because they actually were the early adopters, but now they felt like part of the community. It was actually more so on our teachers. Our teachers had this idea that you're not a teacher, you don't know how to teach kids. And I met every child of every lunch lady we had. They're really good kids. She was doing something right at home. Our PE teacher actually adopted 3 kids from another school. Like, he knows how to teach kids. So like that mindset, I did not realize they would become this like, I'm the teacher, you're the gym teacher, and now you're going to do like this very low level. So I think that's something to think about. I think that is one of the most impactful strategies that like you would do at Westpark. Not only in terms of how it reflects your pillars, but it truly is bringing them to life. And it will move the needle on student outcomes academically and social mission. But I would push you to think about like, so what do I have to get ahead of in terms of making this happen? So that there's not this arbitrary divide, whether it's from the teacher or from the other people that you're flooding with. And how do I make this manageable? Like, there was a reason why we did sight words with certain staff members first, before we actually had them doing a read aloud. Because like, we realized we needed to test it out first. And full disclosure, I was an elementary principal, I never taught elementary school. My first tutor group was sight words. Nobody trusted that I'd be able to lead. I'm glad they did. Because I didn't know how to lead or read aloud my first month in elementary school. So like, I did the same thing. I started with sight words and I could easily, quickly go through, and it was scaffolded for me. So I just, again, think about that because it can be tremendously impactful, and you just want to put on the road to being really successful.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I when I'm building the schedule, you know, I was specifically looking at core grade levels of 3rd grade. You know, my gym teacher's not going to go into 3rd grade. You know, my title reading teacher is going to go into 3rd grade. So, yes.
Great. All right. Well, let's take a lunch break. Westpark. Stealing the Cleveland Cavaliers tagline. So I'm sure we'll have a lawsuit in about 3 weeks. 12:40, so let's just be back here at 2 o'clock, so everyone's got a little time to step off, get some lunch, and then we'll wrap up with the last 2 schools, and then some housekeeping. So with that, Sweets with Freedom. For horrible walk.
I think you're picking people's names, just doing what you're doing.
Mark's buying milkshake.
Mark's buying milkshakes. First round of milkshakes.
Take a break, John. Break.
Right, Mark?
What you said?
And break.
That would make the last 2 weeks really good.
Without a truck, right? People asking questions. Get on the fly. Like going to the truck, right?
To go towards more sense that to make the kids feel it doesn't, it counts what I do.
Right.
So that's all that's supposed to say. But it won't be to penalize the students who don't come in.
Thank you for that.
They're also, they'll have to be something that we come up with, in the classroom that the teacher can do for those students that still come.
I'm already doing this.
Okay. So, we're in start with right, I do remember to work with different groups, so they're not, like, prepared.